Good morning, guys. This is a quick video overview of the newly required forms that you will be seeing the next time that you open a file up in SuiteAssist. The first document that we're going to go over is the Fair Appraisal Act Addendum, and it just lets your client know that any appraisal of a property is required to be unbiased, objective, and not influenced by improper or illegal considerations. And it goes into the considerations that some of them that can be included, such as race, color, religion, gender, etc. It further goes into letting the client know if they feel they've been wronged, how they can move forward with a complaint of any sort. The next document that we're going to go over is the Commercial Seller Property Questionnaire. It is very, very similar to the Single Family Residence Property Questionnaire. This will be a required disclosure for our office if you do have a commercial listing. We will require this to be filled out by the seller and executed by all parties. The next document is a cancellation of contract. It's not new, it just got modified to add a super important object in here where it's either gives us the partial release of and reservation of rights in case you want to cancel the escrow, but buyer and seller decide to move forward either with mediation, arbitration, or actual small claims court in order to fight over the deposit. However, you release the escrow part of it. But it also gives us an option where there is no deposit in escrow. We've seen a lot of escrows where they do cancel right in the beginning and we don't even make it to getting a delivery of deposit. And unfortunately, there was no proper way to document that in the cancellation. So now that is on item 2C. Number 4. Our next document that we're reviewing is a contingency of sale of buyer's property, and it's just made it more clear that you don't need to send a notice buyer to perform in order to have the buyer remove that contingency. This form serves as that notice as well, as you can see on page 2 at the very bottom where it says notice to remove buyer contingency and provide proof of funds. Next one is the Fair Housing Advisory. We just got added another protected class, which, as you can see, is the genetic information. If you have questions on that, please feel free to see me in my office. Our request for repairs has also now been modified to allow the seller to require a buyer to sign a contingency removal as a condition of the seller's total or partial agreement of the buyer's request. And that is on item number 2, or the second page where it says seller's response. And you can see on item number 4, seller's response to buyer's RR and the terms above. Seller responds to the buyer's RR on the terms above and acknowledges receipt. On here, it also gives us the ability to remove the contingency in the RR form. If that is what you require from the buyer will need to sign the buyer response to seller portion at the very bottom, which before we didn't have to. So please take note of that. If you have questions on how to answer a request for repairs, please feel free to see me. The buyer and seller non-agency is a really cool disclosure. We have seen a lot of FSBOs come through the office, and this just lets the client know whether only the seller is being represented or only the buyer is being represented by an agent. It lets the client know what they are pretty much missing out on by not being represented by an agent, but it also further clarifies who is being represented by an agent and who isn't. The seller license to remain in possession has unfortunately been a necessary evil of our previous market. Probably still going to be needing it soon, but it because there has been so much litigation that has come out of sellers remaining in possession, the form has been amended, and a new additional advisory has been added to just remind the buyer that if the possession exceeds the 29th day recommended limit, that we recommend that the buyer seek an attorney or seek legal advice, because a landlord and tenant relationship could be established in that situation. So obviously, we don't do property management, so we aren't able to help in those instances. So that's why we highly recommend that our clients seek professional legal advice before entering into this contract. And lastly, our seller property questionnaire just further clarifies that the answer to these questions if they are yes, it doesn't matter how long ago it happened. If a pipe burst 10 years ago, it's still something that should be disclosed. If somebody died 3 years and 1 day, it still should be disclosed. It's more of a risk management good practice to go ahead and answer yes, regardless of how long ago the asked about event occurred. If you have questions, please feel free to see me. The new optional forms are quite a few. The designated electronic delivery address amendment is to be used when definitely a client asks you to change the email address that they're using. But remember that this also can be used for if you decide to change your email address from your Yahoo to your Gmail because your Yahoo's acting up or whatever the case may be. That way we have it in writing that this was requested and presented over to the other party. It's not a required document, but I strongly recommend it, especially for your clients if you're sending them DocuSign documents or digital signatures. Non-standard forms advisory is definitely something I recommend if you get a random disclosure from an out-of-town agent or a Word document of a waiver. This just lets your client know that the forms that are being presented to them are non-standard, such as not our car documents, and they really should seek legal counsel before they move forward with executing them or choosing not to execute them, so they know what they are signing or not signing. Changes to forms have been all of these documents have had changes happen to them. It's a ton of them, and they're pretty minor. So if you have questions on them, please feel free to stop by. I would be more than happy to chat with you about these. You guys know that I love talking about disclosures and legal ramifications of all the paperwork that we have and why we have it. So feel free to stop by. We also do have some discontinued forms. They were all the notice to pay for COVID related situations. Those are no longer in our CAR library. If you guys have any questions, as always, I am here Monday through Friday. I am happy to chat with you or go over any of these documents one at a time with you.